Greetings to all my wonderful students. Hope you guys are doing great today. Today we're going to look at how the state and federal courts interact. All right, so let's start off with a review. Here we go. We've looked at Washington D.C. State Supreme Court, the Washington D.C. Court of Appeals, and the U.S. districts within each state. We looked at that already. We looked at the state Supreme Court, the state Court of Appeals, and the state trials. County courts and circuit courts. Okay, so let's do a little review before we get into how they interact. So if you remember, Article 3 of the United States Constitution gives power to the court. Okay, review. Very good. Sources of individual rights. Review. Come from state constitutions and come from state constitutions and federal constitution. The Constitution of Washington, D.C., and each state's constitution. Okay, review. Very good. We've looked at state court. Violations of state law are held in state court. A state has a Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, circuit courts, and then you got your counties, municipal courts, and all that. Okay, again, this is review. We said that each individual county has a capital. That's called a county seat. Those county seats govern what happens in that county. All right. So if you live here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you skip a lot of school, it used to be you would go to the county court in Green Bay and you would go to jail. Now you can't. Students can no longer face jail time for skipping school. All right, now they'll probably have you clean the school building or paint the school outside. They'll for skipping too much school. They used to send you to jail. Now they're going to put you to do community service. Okay. So, if you commit a murder, let's say here in Green Bay, okay, and they find you guilty, Green Bay falls under the jurisdiction of Circuit Court 8. So Green Bay County, Green Bay, finds you guilty of murder in the Circuit Court, Green Bay 8, and you think there's an error in your judgment, you can take that to those Court of Appeals. That falls under District 3. I am not too sure where the courthouse is for District 3, but you go to that courthouse, and if they find you guilty, then you can take it all the way to Madison, the state Supreme Court in Madison, where they can review your case, making sure there's no error. And if you're still guilty of murder, then you're going to be guilty. We are going to look at this tomorrow. If you're suspect for murder, they're going to arrest you, they're going to detain you, they're going to do investigations, they're going to give you an arraignment, they're going to give you a trial hearing, then they're going to produce a judgment. Okay? We're going to look at more of that tomorrow. Suffices to say, Wisconsin does have a lot of jurisdiction and power. Wisconsin Edward Thorne Veen, the butcher of Plainfield, was sentenced to the Mental Health Institute in Mendota, guilty of 2 murders and 9 mutilated bodies. So states have a lot of power to govern themselves. Here's another example. Florida. Here's each county in Florida, okay, with the county seat, the capital of the county, that manages the court cases for the county. Here's the circuit court jurisdiction of those counties. Okay. 76 counties with 20 circuit court jurisdictions. If you're found guilty in Miami, I think that's Miami. Let's see. Miami County. Okay. Then you take it to the Florida Court of Appeals District. You're in the 3rd District. That courthouse, that jurisdiction is the 3rd District. And then you can take it to Tallahassee, Florida, which is way up here, for to appeal it all the way to the Florida State Supreme Court. Florida has a lot of power. They convicted Ted Bundy, death to the electric chair, for the murder of 20 women. First degree murder. What's first degree murder? First degree murder is you made a premeditated plan to kill. Okay? Second degree murder is you fight a person with the intent to kill him, but you don't kill him by pre-planning the murder. It just kind of happens. So a lot of examples are your wife or your husband cheats on you. You drive up after working all night. You go in your house and you see the person try to run away, and you punch. You get so angry, you punch, and the person dies. And you're like, yes, I killed him. Haha. Oh no, I killed him. Now I got to go to court. That's second degree. Third degree murder is when let's say you get home, the person's trying to run away because they slept with your spouse. Then you punch him so hard, you just wanted to make sure he knows, I don't know, never to do it again. But you punched him so hard, he accidentally dies. That's third degree. Okay? This is premeditative. This is you wanted to kill him, and this is accidentally killing him even though you punched him. Okay. California also has a lot of power. They sentenced O.J. Simpson to nothing. They acquitted him. They said he was innocent. O.J. Simpson was on trial for the murder of his ex-wife and her friend Ron Goldman. Gloves with the blood of the people were found, and O.J. Simpson had to put the gloves on, and he said they didn't quite fit quite right. And anyway, long story short, they found him innocent. Los Angeles. Okay. State court. Now here's federal court. Violation of federal laws are held in federal court. Now we looked at this. We saw there's 9 judges. We saw that sometimes there's 8. And we saw also that the president appoints judges, but Congress votes them in. So if Congress keeps voting no to the presidential people, the candidates to be judged, they don't get it put in. Congress has the final vote. They do about 79, 73 court cases a year. Okay, highest court case possibly held in the United States is in Washington, D.C., the Supreme Court. Okay, the Supreme Court, the big guy. But let's start small. Let's say you live here in Wisconsin. If you see this little line right here, that is 2 areas of jurisdiction that Wisconsin has for federal court. It's got an eastern side and a western side. Minnesota has an eastern side and western side. Missouri has an eastern and western. Texas has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. California has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if you commit a crime in the eastern side of Wisconsin, you go to that courthouse. I don't know where it's located. I think it's in Milwaukee. If you commit a crime in the western side of that Wisconsin, you go to that courthouse. If you're in Michigan, you commit a crime on the eastern side, you go to that courthouse. Western side, you go to this courthouse. If you're in Nevada, Nevada, there's only one jurisdiction area, so you go wherever that courthouse is located. Texas, if you can, has many. If you're found guilty in that, then you can appeal it to the Federal Court of Appeals. If you're in Wisconsin, the capital, the big building where the Federal Court of Appeals is located is in Chicago, and that manages these 3 states. I don't know where the 9th Capitol building is, the giant courthouse. I'd want to say somewhere in California. If you're in the 11th District of Appeals, I probably want to say somewhere in Florida. I don't know. I'd have to Google all these. I'm not sure. But I do know this. If federal court, Eastern or Western District of Wisconsin finds you guilty, you can go to the 7th Court of Appeals courthouse located in Chicago, and they can rule you guilty or innocent if you committed a crime. They will review the court case. And if you still say you're innocent, you go all the way to Washington, D.C. Okay, anyway, so if they sentence you to death, you have to be in one of these states that has a death sentence. States without, states with, and states up to the governor. So we lived in Wisconsin. If you commit a serious crime, that's why this guy here, the Butcher Plainfield, was sentenced to mental institute. Look at the map. Then look at Florida. That's why Ted Bundy was sentenced to death. Okay, very good. Now, here is death row. It's an area of a prison where people wait to die. Death row. 36 states have ways of killing, including lethal injection, execution, lethal gas, firing squad, and hanging. Okay. Federal law versus Monroe law. Federal law states all 50 states can permit abortion. How you get that abortion might differ. Because the latest you can get abortion in every state. Up to 20 weeks, up to 24 weeks of pregnancy, 25 weeks of pregnancy. You can see it all shaded in here differently. Okay. A person can be tried in federal and state court. Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma federal building in Oklahoma City. It was called the Oklahoma City bombings. Oklahoma Supreme Court here put Timothy to death. They gave him the death sentence. Timothy had a helper, Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols was sentenced to 116 lifetime imprisonments to Oklahoma. Federal court also sentenced him to life in prison as well. So, let's see. Oklahoma falls under the jurisdiction of Oklahoma. Oh, you know what? Right here. 10. I don't know which... It looks... 1, 2, and 3. I think that one. There, sentence. Okay, anyway, so... Also, John Lee Marvel and Alan Muhammad were both sentenced both to state and federal court for using sniper rifles to kill 13 people in 2022. If the federal court finds that the state court committed an error, the federal court overrules the state court. Double jeopardy. We're gonna look more into this later. The double jeopardy clause. The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution prohibits anyone from being persecuted twice for the same crime. Okay. Very good. And the United States Supreme Court does influence people. The Supreme Court banned school prayer in 1962, and the school allowed for blacks and whites to go into class together with, right here, with Brown versus the Board of Education right here.